This is exactly how much money I made my first 16 months in the world of high ticket sales. Over 5 years ago, I first got into this space when the word high ticket sales and remote closing wasn't even a thing on social media at all. I didn't know as I was signing the contract on August 24th, 2019, that I was becoming a high ticket closer. So I had to go back through my bank statements. I had to go back through my camera roll. You're gonna see my journey from month one, making $1,700 all the way to my very last month, making $29,860, which really pisses me off because I was $140 short of cracking my first 30K month. But let's go back to where it all began, August 24th. I'm signing a contract for basically what's called a sales agency. What sales agencies do in very simple terms is they basically have a bunch of high ticket setters, high ticket closers that they hire, and they have a bunch of different businesses that they manage sales teams for. And then they just put their employees of the sales agency on these specific offers for these specific clients. And because I was 19 years old, fresh out of college, not knowing what I was doing, they put me on their worst possible client. So when I started my first high ticket sales role, I got a Google sheet with names, emails, phone numbers. We didn't have a CRM. I never spoke directly to the actual client that I was selling for. I just had my sales manager who owned half of the sales agency said, call 200 people today and close some deals. Hindsight, what I know was happening is they were driving people to their website to put in their name, email, phone number for a free training or a free resource, and they were not booking a call to buy what I was selling, which was an e-commerce coaching program. So what I was doing, which is I was calling these people within 2 minutes of a phone call that they weren't expecting. So my first 20 days on the offer, I made $0. I called 200 people a day and I made nothing because who in the world would get a call from a random phone number and within 120 seconds get asked for $3,000 and pay them? No one on the planet ever. And once they realized this Garrett kid 3 weeks in, he's closed 0 deals, what's going on? So they took one of their top reps at the agency and he's, hey, let me do some call reviews. He did some call reviews and he's like, hey brother, would you pay someone $3,000 in 2 minutes of conversation you didn't know who they were or why they were calling you? Call them, set them up on the 45-minute call, and then have a proper sit-down conversation with them on Zoom, and let's see how that does. Obviously, after implementing that tweak, I actually made some money. So my first month, I made about $1,700 in commission. I was on 10% commission, so I did about $17,000 in deals in my last 9 days of the month, which was extremely motivating for me because when I signed that contract for my first high ticket sales role ever, I took videos on my desk. This is a life-changing deal. I'm about to be a millionaire. I'm about to make so much money because I looked up to the people who own this agency so much. And to be 3 weeks in and make $0, and keep in mind, I'm waking up at 7 a.m. and I'm calling people in Europe because it's later in the day there because no one wants a call at 7 a.m. And then I'm working until 8 p.m. And I'm calling people in California because at 8 p.m. for me in Central Time Zone, it's only 6 p.m. for them. That was me 6-7 days a week for 3 weeks. So when I closed my first deal and I made $300, I was ecstatic because prior to this, just the summer before, I was working for a tree service where I would make $200 a day, depending upon how many hours I worked. I'd get paid $10 an hour, $12 an hour. The next week I went on a tear, and keep in mind, I had literally no money. So the last couple of days of the month, because I didn't get paid out, this sales agency, keep in mind, don't love the sales agency. You'll get to the part where I leave the sales agency because they were a little questionable. They only paid me once a month. And my first payout was a week and a half late. So I had to literally DoorDash as I'm doing these 10, 12-hour days of phone calls so that way I can pay rent because I was a couple days late on rent that first month. It gets worse. A few of the people that I closed weren't exactly getting what they were paying for. So I go to my sales manager dude, yo, on the Google Doc, it says they get this. They're calling me a little bit angry because they're not getting this. Yeah, we need to fire this client. So they fired that client and then they put me on another client, which I was very happy about because I was actually really excited to sell for this client. This client is someone named Tai Lopez. Tai Lopez is responsible for making so many 100,000aires and millionaires in the world of SMMA. And I was the one selling his stuff on the back end of those just sitting here in my garage ads. So I was selling the SMMA coaching package on how to start an SMMA that made so many people so rich. I had a bit of a graduation as I stepped on my second offer inside this sales agency. Month 2, I made $4,000. And the big difference here is that about 50% of the time I had calls just already booked in on my calendar. That's when I realized the difference between setting and closing. Closing is a lot easier and you make so much more money because they're literally coming to you and they want to talk to you. They want to buy the thing. They're interested about the thing. I would still do 30 or 50 or so calls a day of just calling, setter calls. And then I'd have 4 to 6 booked calls on my calendar. I think the service for him was there was a $2K one and a $2,000 package and a $4,000 package, and I could sell either of them. And that month I made $4,000 just because I had calls booked on my calendar. So I did $40,000 in sales. I felt pretty stoked about that. Month 3, which was my last month at the sales agency, I made $6,000, still selling for Tai. I just basically got better at selling the more expensive package, which was the $4,000 one. So instead of making $200 on most calls, I would make $400 on most calls, which was, double. I could take the same 30-minute phone call and make double the amount of money. My sales manager was like, bro, what the fuck? Why do I keep seeing $2,000 payments come through? Why not any 4K? Well, none of these people have money. He's like, yeah, they do. And he literally put me on speaker and put his phone next to my phone as he's literally driving, and he closes someone down for 4K. He's like, see how fucking easy this is, bro? And then after that, the belief unlocked that 4K deals are easy. And then I started closing them. And that was my 6K month. When I had my first 4K month, I literally was driving. I had to pull over into the parking lot and just stare at my phone for so long because I don't come from a boatload of money. A $4,000 paycheck is a very large deal for me. And after dropping out of college and me almost becoming the black sheep of my family, that was so much validation to me. I called my mom, I called my dad, I called my brother. I was like, yo, I'm rich. I dropped out and it's working. But I left the sales agency. It gets worse. Month 3 comes to an end. I had my biggest 6K month ever. Then I got a call from my sales manager and he's like, yo, Tai dropped us on a new client now. You start calls tomorrow. And he sent me over the material and my heart just dropped because I have such a moral and ethical conscience to me. When I was selling for the first client and people weren't getting what they paid for, I told my sales manager, I will leave this sales agency because I will not sell for this person anymore. This is not fucking cool. He's like, you're right. So he goes to put me on now my 3rd client. Immediately, I Google him. It's scam. I told my sales manager, I will not sell for this client. And he's like, we have sales reps doing $50,000 a month for this client. Do you want to make money or not? Stop worrying about fulfillment and just shut the fuck up and dial. And that was basically my last day at that sales agency. Even if this is the biggest opportunity I ever get in my life, I will not sacrifice my ethics and morals for money. So I called my sales manager and I was like, today's my last day. I told you I don't want to do this. I'm out. So he wired me the last bit of commissions I had from my last roles and I left the agency. And this was a big low point for me because we're 3 months into my basically 16 months of actively selling in high ticket sales. But what didn't make it in the title was there was a year of my life where I left high ticket sales forever because I thought it wasn't for me. I thought it was unethical. This literally led me down a path for a year where I had dropped out of college. I was trying to do these entrepreneurial things that I did before high ticket sales, trade stocks, go back to drop shipping, which I never made any money drop shipping, of course. I tried Amazon FBA. I really realized this entrepreneurial shit ain't working. I started working nights at a factory. I did this for 2 weeks because they said I was going to make $1,000 a week. I in fact didn't. So I quit immediately after I got my first paycheck and it was not $1,000 a week. I started waiting tables at Olive Garden and I did this for 6 months or so. And it was kind of sales to me. I was selling wine. I was selling desserts. I was upselling the more expensive meals at Olive Garden. And actually, I sold some of the most volume at Olive Garden out of all of the waiters and waitresses that I worked with. And I felt this micro sense of comfort, which was scary to me. And I just started smoking weed again. I started getting bad habits again. And I just started really getting comfortable. That's when my buddy Jack gave me a call. Hey, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You have a lot of potential. Get back on your feet. Get back into high ticket sales. Each month you were making literally almost double what you were making the month before. You were on a trajectory to literally start making $10,000 a month. Bro, get your shit together. You're good. It wasn't that high ticket sales wasn't for you. It was just that business wasn't for you. And I was like, oh yeah. And then luckily he was like, hey, let me connect you with a buddy who is actually needing high ticket closers right now. And that's where we get back to the action. Month 4 in high ticket sales, we are up from here. I told you earlier, we had a $29,860 month. We're getting there. So we back. Basically, what I was selling, my 7th ever offer that I sold in high ticket sales, it was my first B2B offer. What this business did is they help people get loans for other businesses that needed capital during the peak of COVID. You know, people say when there's a gold rush, sell shovels. Every business needed money so bad during COVID, and there was an absolute gold rush to find money. And the government was basically making money free for any business to borrow, but certain banks were denying certain people. So we basically had relationships with thousands of bankers that loved selling loans because they were getting filthy rich. And all that we were doing were connecting the right bankers that sell specific type of loans to specific type of businesses with the specific type of businesses that needed the loans. We were just a middleman. So we would charge $10,000 as a finder's fee, basically. And our promise to them was we would get them the most money at the lowest interest rates in the fastest span of time. Because if they tried to do it on their own, they would usually go to one bank, the bank would deny them, and then they'd be like, oh no, my business can't get money. I'm just not gonna grow my business. So it was a really simple sale for me. I was stoked about this offer. Month one, I made $3,000. I was really frustrated because I'd already been on a couple bad offers and I was like, is this gonna be another one of those bad offers? And the sales management was not great because basically we would either sell people the loan package or we would downsell them, basically just giving them business credit cards. And it was $3,500 downsell. And the sales manager didn't give us any information about how it all actually worked. He would just go downsell people. And it was very unclear to me. What are they actually getting? These prospects were asking me so many questions and I couldn't really answer them. And I was new to the company. So I only made $3,000 that first month. Month two, I basically just lost faith in the sales managers there. And I just went straight to the best closer on the team. And I'm like, how are you selling this? And he gave me some sauce, which I highly recommend you guys do on every offer you're on. Just go talk to the person making the most money on that offer and do what they do. He gave me some sauce, brought it back to the table, $7K month two. I was fired up. Third month on this offer, I made a whopping $10,000. My first 10K month ever in my entire life. I was so ecstatic. This month, I vividly remember, I don't even care about having 10K in my bank account. I paid off all of my student loans. I started door dashing hibachi to my place. Living in a college town, because I dropped out and just kept living there until my now fiance graduated so we could move to Miami. It was so cheap there. So $10,000 a month there, when there's like $1 mixed drinks at the bars, I was up. And then I did leave this offer on month three, despite having that big month, because I just really clashed with the sales manager. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. And I was supposed to be in a closer role. And there would be days or weeks where no leads would come in. And he was, I need you to cold call 200 people. And I'm like, no. When I interviewed with you guys, you specifically said that I was not doing any of this. Now you're asking me to do it. And also, I don't think B2B was the best for me at the time. I'm very empathetic. I make great, deep connections with people, especially back then. My business knowledge wasn't as strong. So B2C was a lot easier and just more aligned with me because I could really get people to open up and like really connect with me. Whereas most business owners are just kind of hard-headed, go fuck all this fluff, give me the straight facts here. And just my personality back then didn't really align with me. Now, if I went back high ticket closing, I would definitely sell something that's $30,000 to $50,000 B2B for sure, just because my business knowledge, I got that. But we're 6 months into our 16 months. What happened for the next 10 months? So month one, we were selling to doctors, lawyers, nurses, business owners, kind of upper middle class people in their 30s to 60s that wanted to be more hands-on with their portfolio. Basically, kind of a stock trading thing, but in a not sketchy way. We had a flood of testimonials. We had really good client results. I was actually using the strategy and making money too. We were literally just investing in the S&P 500, but we were doing it in a little bit of a higher leverage way that would make them outbeat whatever dumb, slow financial advisor that they would normally hire. So I had the mixture of B2C, which I loved. That was my jam. And then we had finance, which was my jam, and I loved it. And you mesh those two together, we're talking about fat commissions. An absolute tear of commissions. It was so much fun. I landed the best offer ever for me. It was a B2C finance offer. So I was already in finance. I loved finance. Finance was something that I would watch YouTube videos on until 1 a.m. because I was just a fucking nerd about it. So when I had that and B2C, because my first 3 offers or whatever at that sales agency, they were all B2C. An hour-long video prior to hopping on a call that would warm them up so much and explain everything. So it made it so smooth for me. I've never had warmer leads in my life. Month 1, 10K, month 2, 12K, month 3, 13K, month 4, 7K. That sucked. month 5, 12K, month 6, 18K, month 7, 20K, month 8, 16K, month 9, 23K, month 10, 29K. Basically the first 5 months, I just was kind of floating between 7 and 12, 13K-ish. And I got stuck there for a while because my close rate was going up a lot. So each month you see the big jumps in income because my close rate was going up crazy. So I literally went from a 30% close rate to my last month I had a 76% close rate, which is insanity. The reason my income was going up, bit by bit was because my close rate was going up. But what I was doing wrong was I was only focused on closing people right then and there. And what took my income from 7 to 10, 12, 13K mark, being into the 20s, was getting good at what happens after that first call, follow-up processes, and what's happening before that call to make sure these people are warmed up and showing up and building a relationship with me before you even speak. Once I mastered those two things, that's what consistently kept me in the 20Ks of commissions. Because you can be lazy and make a 10, 12K a month on a high ticket sales role. And when I say lazy, I would show up to my calls, I would not text my leads. I would honestly completely forget about leads that I should have been following up with. I was just chilling, showing up to my calls, closing people, doing the absolute kind of bare minimum because I just got so comfortable because I have $1,000 a month in expenses between rent, groceries, everything. I don't need money. And I'm stacking my bank account. My bank accounts literally went from $300 at the beginning of my high ticket sales journey to now 30, 40,000. I don't need to make 20K a month, but I'm competitive. And the other rep on the team started beating me a little bit. And then my competitive nature got back. I'm like, this ain't about money anymore. This is about being number one. So that's when I got saucy with the follow-ups. I got saucy with what I was doing before my calls. And that's what led me to really make hockey stick growth in my last high ticket sales role. So in short, that was the first 16 months of how much money I made in high ticket sales. Had a little 1 year buffer in there where I almost became a normie, but my boy Jack snagged me out of it. And honestly, high ticket sales changed my life. And it's what I talk about basically all day, every day on this YouTube channel. So if you guys are interested in this and you want to get into this yourself and you want, sales training tips, maybe to learn what I was doing in those follow-ups and the pre-call stuff that would help me make so much money, comment any questions you guys have below if you guys have any. Would love to answer them. And I would love to help you make some killer money in high ticket sales. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will catch you on the next video.